Democratic Representative Ruben Gallego appeared on Read Out on MSNBC and very aptly criticized Kyrsten Sinema. Of course, he is now running for Senate in Arizona against Kyrsten Sinema, who's now an independent. He's running for the Democratic nomination, and I liked what he had to say. Here, take a look.
I mean, John Jones, who does our great Readout blog, he wrote a piece that I thought was very illuminating for me, that Kyrsten Sinema's opposition to the voting rights bill now seems quite self-serving, that it helps her, right? If you don't make it easier to vote, young voters, voters of color, that makes it harder for them. That's good for her. But what do you make of her big shift? She claimed to be friends with John Lewis. She made all these claims, right, that there's no backup for it. But now she's like thumbs upping. Mitch McConnell is saying that she's the best senator ever. And she was literally high-fiving in Davos about killing voting rights. Who is she, and how did she get this way?
I don't think she voted against voting rights because she had some cynical ploy to help keep her in office. It was, in my opinion, it's actually kind of worse than that. She did it to curry favor with the powerful, the rich, and the Republicans. And this is her way to kind of show that it's her way of sticking it, to the Democrats. And, for me, I worked with John Lewis. John Lewis came out and campaigned for me for my first congressional race. I don't consider him a friend. I consider him a mentor because he really taught a lot of us younger politicians how to be good leaders, how to be good leader servants. And for you to say that, like she did for many years, that this man was my friend, he was my mentor, and when you vote against his key legislative, bill.
It's named after him.
It's named after him.
Yeah.
In order to appease, some people that want to actually suppress voter rights, it just tells you where they are. Like, she's for sale.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing you could be in politics.
The worst thing you could be in politics. Absolutely. And it comes down to a number of things with her. I do think her opposition to important actions like voting rights is multifaceted. And I do think some of it is what he said, where there's this obsession among some who see themselves as, I'm not just another Democrat, I'm kind of in the middle and light and centrist, which it can be very justified and interesting and valuable to have someone who's in the middle, of course. But don't take a stance against something just for the sake of being against your own party so that you can say, oh, I'm against my own party, I'm so different, I'm so independent, right? Because the action that was being pushed for was necessary. Protecting voting rights, it's important. And her opposition to it just seemed so cynical. And then on many issues, including Biden's Build Back Better plan that she and Joe Manchin obstructed for a very long time and ended up being the reason that it got so whittled down. The Inflation Reduction Act, still significant. Glad they supported it. Credit to them on that. But we could have had something much more significant. And I do think it's heavily influenced. Actually, I venture to say I know it's heavily influenced by the fact that, yes, her campaigns heavily funded by big dollar donations, by special interest groups, as is almost every politician, barring a very small number. And so whenever you know that the way you're going to stay in power is through those donations, you're going to try to act in the interest of the individuals giving you those campaign donations. And we talked about in the context of Kari Lake yesterday, when she was talking about the globalists are controlling Kyrsten Sinema. No, it's so much simpler than that. It's not a big conspiracy theory. It's not some crazy, dark in the shadows story that you tell. It's out in the open, publicly available information. Large corporations, wealthy individuals donate a lot of money to super PACs, to PACs, to help certain individuals get elected. So those individuals then, those politicians, feel obligated to support the interests of those special interests. It's not just that with her, but that's definitely heavily influencing her vote. And so him saying that's the worst type of politician you can be is absolutely accurate. And then also just trying to get attention, or whatever the reason Manchin and her do the things they do, to seem different than the rest of the Democratic Party. That's also not a good reason, unless you're opposing something and being different for a good reason. Don't just do it to do it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the extra bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there's a link in the description.